How's it going, everybody? This is Siri here, and we have a new promo code for you guys that we're going to be starting out with. Then we're going to go ahead and jump into what are the best teams, what characters from those teams you should be investing in. So let's go ahead and get started with this video. We're going to start by end up doing the promo code. To do that, hit the X or the hamburger on the top right corner, go down to player gift, and you're going to end up entering the code Summer Gains. I believe it is usually a sensitive all capital. And when we redeem this, it looks like there's 1,000 of the antimatter, which is the new store currency that we have right now. Also 150 power cores. So it's not terrible. I'll definitely take any of those free new currencies. Now let's go ahead and we're going to dive into what these best new teams are going to be on my tier list for you guys. Let's go ahead and back out, zoom out just a tad. Here we go. All right, so the first thing we're going to be discussing is going to be that Fantastic Four MCU team. This is the new arena team, and they're really good everywhere. Now, typically on these type of videos, I like to go through the best three characters, like the power trio, the holy trinity of the team that you want to spend your resources on. This one here, I'm going to end up kind of putting down the three characters, sometimes two characters or four characters because of the versatility the team has. And I want you to kind of make sure that you invest in all the proper characters so that we're not lopsided. So the characters for this one's going to end up being Invisible Woman. We have Mr. Fantastic, Human Torch, and Franklin. Now, if you are a war fanatic, the Thing is amazing in the war landscape right now due to the way his kit kind of works, where he gets that turn meter still for the Fantastic Four or the new Avenger characters, getting that turn one ultimate, trying to get the kill, the trauma, the speed up and immunity. He's really good in war. Now, why do I have Human Torch on here? He is arguably the third or fourth best character on the team, depending on what side of the field you're on. If you're on the defensive side, Mr. Fantastic's the better character. If you're on the offensive side, Human Torch is the better character. His speed of being a 127, getting offense up for the team, and if you make it to turn 2, that ultimate will just wipe the entire battlefield. That thing is amazing when you end up pulling that ultimate off. Franklin, he's just the powerhouse of the team. Little pun for you guys right there. His ultimate with the silence mechanic in arenas and outside of arena, he still gets the no assist on there. Mr. Fantastic, he's that pre-taunt. He comes in with safeguard, taunt, and I believe it's like 4 death bursts. Really good on spawn benefits that he gives to the team. He also gives that barrier to the team. He has a stun mechanic, really good. Invisible Woman. They did her justice, my god. She hits like a Mack truck. She's going to end up going first. She pulls the ultimate off, brings everybody together, or the special to where she can get that defense down and ability block, meaning you can get trauma off of that ability too. So this team right here is fantastic. Another pun for you guys. In the arena landscape, in the war landscape, and the Cosmic Crucible landscape. Before Cosmic Crucible, just slot in Professor X with them, throw them on defense, and basically it's going to guarantee typically at least 1 victory, sometimes 2 if they end up not pulling that special friend, the Professor X character. Next up, we're going to start looking at the raid teams, because for me personally, the way I like to rank these is your arena team first, then the war teams, then we can kind of take a look to have a debate or argument, if you will, about the war teams or the Crucible teams. So the next team we're going to be looking at is going to be the Vigilante team. The Vigilante team, my goodness, what they can do is amazing. So just having that slight little tweak to that team just took this team from being a terrible team to be an amazing team. This team can take out so many teams, whether that's in war or Cosmic Crucible. Really good versatility. Now, typically, like I said, I would end up doing 3 characters. However, this one here, I can't leave Punisher off. So the characters in order that I would invest in would be Silver Sable 1, Hit Monkey 2, Daredevil Modern for being that tank. He still hits really hard. He has really good benefits. And we're kind of at the point to where if you have Xavier, don't look back on upgrading your tanks and your healers, because you need those characters to survive. Otherwise, with overpowered, they're going to get cleared out. And getting a G20 on your Daredevil Modern, you're not going to regret it. And then we have Punisher, who does that extra damage against villain characters. And with that, that's going to allow you to really take out Mephisto comps, because typically Mephisto can be run with a lot of teams. And Daredevil Modern puts that immunity out there, so that way you're not having to worry about the empowered ultimate that Mephisto throws on your characters with all the negative effects. You guys are basically protected from that opening ability, and he gets the extra damage off of that. So him being also cheap at that 2 G20 like gear equipment slots is really, really nice. So I actually don't regret taking my Punisher to gear tier 20. The only one that I would recommend not taking up is going to be Elektra. Even when we get to where we have excess gear tier 20 pieces, Elektra really just doesn't do much for the team, so you can kind of leave her off. Hitmonkey, with his trauma stun ability, I think he's going to have some really good life after the team starts to kind of fall off a little bit, and he can break apart Silver Sable and Hitmonkey and still get really good value for this team. Now we're going to end up taking a look at the Night Stalkers team. The Night Stalkers team is still really good. It looks like, due to the data mines and what's coming for those next raids that we're going to be getting, it looks like it's going to be the Annihilation raids. The Night Stalkers are going to be around. So they're not going to be replaced yet, which is really good to hear, because I just really like this team. This was a fan voted team also. We got to vote on Karen Page and then who her mentor was. We got to vote on Man-Thing. Blade came to the team. And we also got to vote on Moon Knight. So we got to vote quite a bit and get our community input into this. And I really hope they continue that with teams in the future. So let's go ahead and discuss this team. Oath right here, she is going to give the turn meter to the team. She gets the exposed ability energy to the team. Blade, he just hits like a truck. He hits so hard. He has turn meter rewinds. They did justice to Blade. I'm really happy about that. And then we have Agatha. I did end up doing a G20 on my Agatha after I got my Xavier unlock. I don't regret it at all. Having that G20 Agatha to where she gets those extra pings just does so much damage and just can wipe out teams and characters by just getting those pings off of her. So I really like that, especially with the ultimate. When she gets that ultimate off, it's just beautiful watching the enemy fall over. I really enjoy that. Now, there is an argument to be made for Man-Thing. My Man-Thing is still gear tier 19. I haven't G20'd him yet. I don't know if I want to do that because I haven't found a need to actually do it. Now, having it to where he can kind of survive and he does kind of get walked over on the defensive side of things is something I'm considering. But again, I think we can kind of delay putting that G20 on Man-Thing. Now we have the Hellfire Club. Right now we only have one member I recommend putting the gear tier 20 on, which is going to be Azazel. The other two members, for investment purposes, I would put on here would be Sebastian Shaw. It looks like he's going to be a really good pre-taunt for the team. His cooldowns do worry me because he has such long cooldowns. I don't know how he's going to end up working more as a plug-and-play character or just for the team in general. I want to do a lot more testing with this Hellfire Club, which is why I haven't really released my everything to know video on this team. I want to try to make sure I get that accurate for you guys, but Sebastian Shaw is going to end up being on this list along with Rachel Summers. Rachel Summers is going to end up being able to flex to that Immortal XMen side of things. Azazel's going to flex to the Accursed side of things. And then I do think there can be that power couple of throwing Sebastian Shaw and Emma Frost together. I just don't know who I would want to throw these characters together with on the Ward side of things or as a plug and play, maybe in Crucible side of things. And also for the tower purposes, there's just way too many questions yet on this team before I can kind of put my stamp of approval saying, hey, this could end up working for you guys. So be patient. Hopefully in another week or two, when the full team comes out, I can get my proper testing out. We'll get that video out for you guys. Now, as far as what the characters bring, Azazel, he's going to be bringing that drain mechanic. He has that RNG ultimate where it's going to hit about 9 or 10 characters and do turn meter rewinds to them, as long as the 2 characters out there. So that is a very good opening ability. It's just too RNG based because of that. Overall, though, I do like him, and I think he is a very good addition to that Accursed team. For Rachel Summers, that's going to be over here for me. She's going to have a very unique mechanic at a 124 speed to where she's able to spread stun. We have not had any character in the game that could do something like this. So I'm actually really excited for what she could bring. I mentioned in my video to where you could end up sliding in, say, Storm, slot in Jean Grey, Rachel, and I think that could be a very unique way to try to take out Xavier comps. I want to do testing with that as well, to where you try to get that stun landed into, say, Xavier, and then you could end up extending that stun by doing the special with Jean, then use the special from Rachel to spread those nade effects and the stun to another target. I think that would be really interesting. I just want to make sure things can actually work in that order, like I think it does in my mind. Now, the next team we're going to be looking at is going to be the Thunderbolts team. The main reason, honestly, is because it's a raid team and Songbird. We need to actually work up our raid teams. And if you take a look, we already have on here, we have our skill team, we have our mystic, we have our mutant, and now we have our bio team. So I don't have Orcus above this team because we should be getting that next raid team for tech fairly soon. I'm hoping it's going to be after Hellfire Club. If it's not after that, it's going to be hopefully after that team, based on the hints that RJ kind of gave us during his interview with Pathfinder. So I don't want to throw the Orcus team on here, tell you guys, hey, invest in this team, and then we have that new raid team. So that's going to be lower on the list for that purposes. Now, as far as the characters, you see I put 4 on here. Hyperion's going to be that tank, and he has some niche plug and play value to where you can try to get that taunt off early enough with this special, and that's on a very, very short cooldown. He's also able to give defense up to all of his allies for 2 turns and safeguard to himself. So there is some slight plug and play use for him. And if you guys haven't gone against like a massive Hyperion, he scales incredibly well to where if he gets that ultimate off and does that big AoE hit, it's just rocks you and it hurts so hard. But Songbird, we don't really need to discuss Songbird. She's just amazing. Don't take her into the Xavier saga, but once you unlock Xavier, I do recommend taking her up to G20 as one of the first bio characters. She definitely was for me, and I'm not looking back at all. That turn 1 ult where you flip everything with that 129 speed, I think it is. It's just insane for what she can end up doing. Or it might be 132. Regardless, it's a massive speed that they gave her, and it's awesome. Taskmaster, the reason I have him on here is Taskmaster on War is so good. You can slot him in with Merks For Money like I've been doing, and then you could throw in like a zombie Scarlet Witch. Shout out to Dorky Dad for that call out, because ever since I've been doing that, I've been using that 3-piece Merks For Money, Taskmaster, Zombie Scarlet Witch. I'm taking out so many teams with that. Or you could just end up using that Underworld team and just watch all those assists just delete your opponent's way. It's really, really cool to see that happen. Slot Dakin in there too. It's beautiful. Then we have Victoria Hand. She's going to be the healer on the team. You need to make sure she survives. So she is going to be on that list where you do want to try to invest in her. And you can see that Ghost is kind of left off. Just Ghost doesn't do enough to really warrant throwing high gear investment into. You just need to make sure that she survives long enough in the raid portion. She's just too slow, and we have too many characters that have unavoidable attacks to where it doesn't really work as a plug and play feature. I tried using her with like Orcus and some other teams, and it just really was lacking, unfortunately, which is a shame, because when we got the reworks for, say, Ghost, it's like, hey, she's got an awesome kit, new stats, that should work. We were wrong. I do want to say that, because they should have upped her speed. And for Taskmaster, I really wish they made it to where the assist also worked with Thunderbolts. I think that would have really lifted the Thunderbolts team to where we could try to actually get them to work outside of the raid. So it is what it is, but you do need to invest in them. They are the bio raid team, so please do so. Now you see the next team on here is going to be the Uncanny Avengers. Due to the data mines that we're going off of with this, Uncanny Avengers looks like they're going to be needed for that next raid. So I have them above the Orcus team because you can see next up is going to end up being Orcus. Let me go back up, go back down. Nope. Where are you at? There we go. So we have the Uncanny Avengers, then we have Orcus as the next two teams. So for the Uncanny Avengers, Jean, Storm, we use them with the Immortal XMen team. We use Hercules with the Mighty Avengers. So this is kind of the big three-piece. Beast is a member on this team, and Cable, I believe, no, Falcon was the other member that's on this team. However, if you're just looking at the raid portion and you don't really want to invest in everybody because they do flex into those two separate game modes, I would end up going Jean and Storm for sure. Jean, she could end up working for you in the Xavier unlock. Storm, I don't know how she would end up doing in there, honestly. However, due to the way she scales and that ultimate ability, just kind of wiping the floor off, like just clearing out everybody, it's a really powerful ability and it just scales so well. I do want to G20 her. I just want to make sure I get my Hellfire Club up to the G20, and then I might end up going back and doing these two characters. That's how good they are. Also, these two characters, Jean and Storm, do work as a Xavier counter. There's been multiple times in Crucible or War to where I use these two characters, I slot some other characters in, and I can take out Xavier comms. So that's how powerful these two characters are. Unfortunately for Hercules, though, I haven't found a good need for him yet in Crucible. In War with the Mighty Avengers, though, he does do quite a bit to where you can kind of get the taunt. He's able to get that passive off to where all of the Mighty Avengers can take those buffs away, so you do want to make sure he can survive that. I haven't G20'd him. I don't think I'm going to end up doing any of the Mighty Avenger characters. They're more of a heat-seeking missile in War, and I don't need them to kind of punch up into anything that they can't really do for me. But these are the three I would recommend for Uncanny Avengers. And for the Orcus team, Lady Deathstrike is a very cheap character, very powerful. She hits really hard. I think she's a fantastic member. I think she's going to end up surviving the longest, along with Omega Sentinel outside of the Orcus team. Omega Sentinel being able to get the stun on mutant and tech characters. Her revive chance is just annoying when the AI plays it on the defensive side of things. So I definitely do recommend leaning more into those two. Nimrod I have as the third highest on here because if he gets his abilities off, they can just delete characters off the battlefield. By doing that special, doing the ultimate, it just hits so hard. And when you pair Sentinel or Mysterio, anybody that's a tech summon, it just really lifts him up. I'm curious how he's going to end up being once Orcus does fall off, or what we're going to do with this team, because I can definitely see a world where we use Lady Deathstrike more as that plug and play for that turn meter rewind, the massive damage she can do. Omega Sentinel for getting those stuns out there, the revives. She also has that ability block on the special. So I definitely see more life for these two characters. There's a question mark on the other three, but these were the three that I think you should lean more into for the Orcus team. Now we're going into the Alpha Flight team. This is a Spotlight raid team just like the Uncanny Avengers. I don't know what's going on with the Spotlight. If we're going to get a new one, or if that's going to fall off, what's happening with it. But I do have to put this on here. So this is the last raid team I recommend kind of leaning into, which also flexes into War. And these are the three main characters that we use in the War landscape on the defensive side of things. We have that basically annoying pre-taunt where it keeps happening on the opponent's turn, where Sasquatch gets the taunt on there. We have Guardian, who's going to be getting the offense up. Really, really good plug and play character because of that also. Then we have North Star, who's able to be very quick, do that turn one ult, just flip everything on its head. So these are the main three. Wolverine and Sunfire, you don't really need them too high. Just get these characters high enough to where they do the job, and then you can kind of back off on them. Like I did G19 on these three. My Sunfire, I think, is still G19 or G18. Wolverine, I did take up to G19 just because I like Wolverine as a character. So I wanted to make sure I kind of showed some love over to him. So that's more of a personal preference, but you don't really need those characters at that G19 level. to do those highest Alpha Flight nodes. Now I'm going to end up throwing on here the Annihilators. The Annihilators is still a very, very good team with a lot of plug and play capability on all of these characters. So I still have to show love to them. I'm not going to drop them down just because they're the last arena team that we had. It's because they are that good. So we have a pre-taunt with Safeguard and immunity with Gladiator. We have Thanos Endgame, who still is wreaking havoc, whether that's in War or Cosmic Crucible. Throw Phoenix Force with Thanos Endgame, slot any other two characters, and your opponent's going to struggle. And you could try to liven that up, throw in like a Super Skrull, throw in a Kahori, throw in whoever you want, and they have to respect that team because that power trio is just so good. If you haven't really experienced it, it's brutal, and it's hard to get that one shot depending in which room and everything it's in. So I think that's gonna be surviving for quite a while. Gladiators even sliding into that team. Then you use Gore with like a Null, whether that's on the defensive side of things or offense side of things. Null's just a very good power couple with Gore. So Gore and Null together, really, really good together. As far as the Xavier Saga, I did end up taking these three in there. I think we have enough characters out right now to where you could end up saying substitute out maybe Gore for like Shadow King is a really good option to kind of throw in there. Mephisto, Null. I know people's taking Kang in there. There's a lot of good cosmic villains that we'd kind of slot into this now. So that's actually really cool that this section is opening up for the Xavier Saga. Now I'm throwing in here the Astral team. Shadow King is an amazing legendary character. Really happy with him. New Emma, the Emma Frost X-Men. Very, very good plug and play character to where you try to shut down the speed stat, which is just amazing when one character can do that, where you have Fantastic Four, who needs 3 characters to kind of fulfill that same role. This just really changes the landscape of War and Cosmic Crucible to where you try to shut down the speed of, say, Null, who has the symbiotes with him, or shut down Man-Thing for the Night Stalkers team. So she is an awesome plug and play character, whether that's the defense or offensive side of things for that. Ancient One, I would recommend as the third character. The issue being for the Astral team is we're pretty much done with Null Battle World. So we need to see how this team's going to perform against Sentry. Because Sentry should be coming here probably next month. Whether that's going to be early September or late September. They did, I believe, say September for the Battle World for Sentry. I want to know what this team does with them. If they really struggle and we don't really have the Null Battle World anymore to get his shards, because it looks like that might be going elsewhere, this team is going to drop on the list. I just wanted the Battle World team after the raid teams because that's how important these Battle World characters are. Null is amazing. Definitely build him up. Don't look back. And I'm expecting Sentry to kind of be that same way if they can kind of do justice to Sentry and Void. So these are the 3 you would really want to lean into for that, because when we go into Null, we typically use Astral, take out Doctor Strange, throw Mephisto in, hit auto, and let it run, and you're pretty much golden after that. Now I'm going to end up throwing in the absolute AForce. This is pretty much the top defense team right now we have in Alliance War. As far as Crucible goes, Kahori is a monster still. If we look at Tower, we look at any of those type of events, the absolute AForce trio right here does work for you. So we have the Taunter on the team, the one that gives charges and everything, or that takes the charges. Ms. Marvel Classic, she is annoying to try to kill in arena, or not arena, but in Alliance War. I do want to G20 her. I don't know when that's going to end up happening because she's that annoying to try to kill, and having it to where people have overpowered into her. If I get a G20 her, that's going to try to get another victory for me on the defensive side of things. Kahori, I want to see how good she's going to be with Blastar. She sounds like she's going to be broken in Crucible with those two, to where they just take out any team that you really want to do with them. Then Medusa would end up being the third. She hits so hard. She has like a Mack truck making it to where your opponent can't get the death proofs or anything, it's pretty brutal. If you have experience like a 3 diamond G20 Medusa, they just delete your characters, and it's really annoying to try to take them out as well. So this would end up being the power trio in war. Basically slot in like a Odin and Super Skrull, and that's gonna have to try to suck a big team out of your opponent. Xavier, I don't think you need him here. You can try to use Xavier elsewhere. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the next team. Now we have the Merks For Money team on here. The Merks For Money, still a very good team, as you see, based on where I had them ranked. We have Old Man Logan, who's just that good. He has the old stats, and he's still making waves, whether that's in Crucible, whether it's in Alliance War, any tower mode. He's so good, and I do not recommend G20 him for the Xavier Saga, but once you get Xavier unlocked, just G20 him right away after you do Xavier, and you're gonna be happy. Pandapool, looks like I need to add 5 levels onto him. He's only overpowered 9 on here, but he just keeps coming back anyways. You don't need to invest in him too big. Just get him big enough to where he can kind of do his job to get his ultimate off, get the buffs on your allies. And then, as I mentioned, Dakin with Old Man Logan, and this character over here, throw in like Zombie Scarlet Witch, throw in Taskmaster, and you can just really take out a lot of teams in Alliance War. For Crucible, you can still use Dakin and Old Man Logan together. They can still be that power couple. Deadpool, I had a stint where I had Deadpool on here as like one of the 3 characters you want to invest in, because you're able to use, say, Pandapool, Deadpool, Old Man Logan, and they would keep coming back to life and kind of doing that cycle. That meta kind of went away, so you don't really need Deadpool too big, but I do still enjoy using him every now and then. Deathpool, she really fell off by the wayside as far as the Merks For Money team goes. Then we have the Phoenix Force team. I do have them here. I really debate about actually putting these 2 teams kind of like, oh, way too far down. I did debate about putting these 2 teams kind of swapped like this, just because getting those 7-star and diamonds on the Omega Red Phoenix Force really changed what this character can do. He feels like a whole new character just by getting those diamonds on him. So I'm really excited whenever they actually put those diamonds in the Elite store, so I can actually get that 2 and 3 diamond on him. He's just a remarkable character. I'm really looking forward also to when we get to that quarter 1, quarter 2 on what this next Phoenix Force character is going to be. I'm hoping they also do what they did with the Undying team. Make it to where there's a fan vote to say, hey, these are the options. Who do you want to get imbued with the Phoenix Force? Because I really like the fan votes that this game does for us to really engage, like, hey, this would be really cool. Let's get this character the Phoenix Force abilities. But I still can't do it. I have to respect what this team does, and Old Man Logan being able to be that good in multiple game modes, and Dakin just really lifting up, say, Taskmaster and stuff with this team, being able to take out like absolute AForce. I have to respect it, so I'm gonna end up putting these characters here like this. Now we have the Immortal XMen as the next team on here. I'm gonna end up putting Rachel Summers as the 3rd character on here. I really want to do more testing with this team, because the testing I did, I was taking out Cable, I was taking out Polaris. People were recommending, hey, can you do some testing and take out Beast to see how that would end up doing? And I agree to a certain extent. There's going to be certain matches, I think, to where you want Beast on the team, so he can try to do that cleanse, do that heal on the team. Because if the team gets hammered back after the turn 1 and Storm ends up dying and not getting those cleansed, then the Immortal XMen really falls off. But I think if there's certain matches to where you can really hit them that hard, control them, and get to that Storm ultimate, then I do see value in taking Beast out. For Cable, even though Rachel Summers does the same turn meter gain that Cable does, Cable still has that turn meter rewind, which is why there were certain instances I was taking out Polaris. I didn't feel I needed to do the clump together and everything, so I do want to do more testing with that. However, Rachel's definitely going to be one of the trio for this Immortal XMen team on here. Now we're going to go into the Liberty team. Liberty is amazing. If you have not built up the Liberty team, what's wrong with you? Even if you don't like Alliance War, this team is still getting Cosmic Crucible. They're still fantastic in the tower game modes that we have and a lot of the other game modes, to where there's those special events to where it's like the Kiln Tower, Sword Tower. The team is just so good, and I couldn't leave any of the characters off. Well, War Machine got left off, right? However, Peggy, Falcon Joaquin, and Patriot, those three characters are so important on the team because Patriot's scaling and the taunting that he puts on your opponent. Peggy being able to get the heal, the stuns, the ability blocks. She's just very important, especially with the out of turn damage. Falcon Joaquin for the speed up, the heal. He has that turn meter rewind. They're all important. And then you have Captain Sam. You need Captain Sam to be able to take those hits. And again, with overpowered, you have to account for that. Also, if you get to his ultimate, that ultimate, it deletes people off the board, especially as a raider. So I do recommend taking up all four. If you absolutely had to leave one off, I would probably leave Captain Sam off, because then we'd have a bio character, we'd have a skill character, and we'd have a tech character. However, don't neglect Captain Sam. He's really, really good and important for that team, for that ability energy, the cleansing, the ultimate ability for the turn meter gain that he gives. It's just a really good, strong team, and I definitely recommend investing in them if you haven't done so already. They can even be really good in Crucible. Just build them up is basically what I'm trying to say. Now we have the Accursed team. I know you guys are going to like flame me for this. The Accursed team is not trash. The Accursed team just needs scaling. People were saying the same thing about the Starjammer team. They were saying the same thing about Gore. They were saying the same thing about Immortal XMen. They say the same thing. What other teams up here? The Astral team. They were getting flamed on as well. The Accursed team just needs scaling. You're eventually going to get them to 7 stars. You're eventually going to get those diamonds on them. You do need to G20 the team because of the overpowered in the game. With all that being said, the Accursed team does work. They do have glaring flaws, such as being slow, but they hit very hard. They rebound incredibly well, especially with the Zazel being added to the team now, to where the team has drain, and you're just not relying on Satana for the health steal and kind of the redistribution. So because I have up here in the raid portion, let me go back up. In the raid portion, I have Azazel, because he's going to be important on the Hellfire Club. You're going to G20 him here, which means you're going to have a G20 Azazel down here for the Accursed, meaning you're going to have the full team at G20. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Let me back out one. Juggernaut, he's just very important to the team, so let's go through this. Juggernaut, he does the healing for the team with his special for turn 1 to try to get the rebound. You get the ultimate off, it's going to hit very, very hard. And as far as the ISOs go, I do think healer or raider for him. Previously I did say fortifier, but I misread Satana's kit to where it's all characters can't get barrier, so she does end up shutting down that barrier for Juggernaut. But if you end up getting him raider 3 diamond, he ult, it's just going to delete people. Helverine, make it to his turn 1 ult, it's going to wipe the entire field. These two characters over here, their passives are way too important. The Hood makes it to where the enemy can't really get the speed. He's going to stop the taunt. He's going to stop the assist. And then you have Satana, who's going to stop the trauma, stop the ability blocks, and stun. I believe it's stun. Just the team itself for these two, you want to make sure they're big enough to survive because of overpowered. I have to always account for that. However, the Hood does do very good damage, and Satana has that percentile damage. So on my everything to know, I did have Satana being like, hey, she's going to be number 1, because if she ends up dying, then the team falls apart. So you do need to make sure that she's big enough. So this would make it to where you have the full 5-man team at G20. However, if you had to pick, I would end up saying Juggernaut, Helverine, and Hood would be the G20s. Keep Satana on the bookend, and hopefully she ends up surviving. And then again, you'd end up having Azazel. or if you need to, you can end up taking that character out, slot in Mephisto, slot in Null, slot in Quasar. This team is very modular. They scale incredibly well. They hit incredibly hard. So I think you guys are going to kind of come around and see how good Accursed is once the diamonds and the 7-stars start getting added onto them. So do trust me on that one, because there's too many people saying, oh, this team's crap. They're not crap. They're actually really good. Now we're going to end up going into the Starjammer team. The reason I have Starjammers below Accursed is because Accursed walks over Starjammers. The Starjammers team, though, there's been multiple instances where I've broken up Starjammers. Lilandra being able to try to go and help the team take out Gladiator comps, where he's going to be that pre-taunt. Howard being able to shut down the speed. He's a great plug and play. There was a counter I did where I took these 3 characters, I slotted 2 more in, and I took out a massive, I think it was like a Mephisto team in Cosmic Crucible, just by kind of breaking up the Starjammers. So these are the 3 that you'd want to invest in. Havoc being able to get that turn 1 stun, and it's going to end up getting trauma on the primary and adjacent. Do the ultimate to take the buffs away. Really shuts down the Black Knight comms. Lilandra, like I said, being able to take out the Gladiator. Howard the Duck stopping the speed. He also gets the ability blocks. These are going to be the trio that you really want to lean into. Groot is a very good character for this team. He scales incredibly well. I haven't G20'd my Groot yet. I don't know if I'm going to, because I just got done doing the Fantastic Four. I need to do Blastar when he comes out. And there's still other bio characters I'm really looking at to G20. Groot, I don't know if I need to do it yet, but he is on the radar. I do want to give that caution. Rocket, you don't need to G20 him. And let's go back down. Now we have the Illuminati team over here. Illuminati is still hanging on. I've been using them more as a broken up team, to where I use Captain Britain to stop turn meter, and then I use the free to play Illuminati to try to take out like a superior 6 comp, because it looks like they're trying to make a comeback in Cosmic Crucible. So the free to play Illuminati really walks over that comp right there. Or you can end up using the 3 together right here. Slot in Black Knight, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt. I don't think you need to use Odin on here. I think that's going to be a waste by throwing Odin with this team, because then you're just going to Starjammer the team, and that's going to be perfectly fine. And then if you have the opponent also has Starjammers on defense, do a burn attack into Starjammers, go in with like a Liberty APOC, and you're pretty much golden after that. So I don't think Odin's still good with this team, but slide in like a Black Knight to try to suck that efficiency away, I do see that being a thing. So that's why you still put this team up here. Then we have the Cabal team. Again, I've been breaking this team up more than using them together. Getting the extra damage boost from Iron Patriot, getting the extra health boost from Leader, or if you need to actually use them together, they're still really good to where you can slot like Kang APOC or Kang Moonstone into this team and still take out quite a bit in Cosmic Crucible. For the war landscape, though, they're not really doing too much there, whereas Illuminati, you still can try to use this team in war, and they can take out like Alpha Flight teams and stuff like that there. Now, I do have down here the Undying team. I was really debating if I want to slot this team higher, but considering like Illuminati I can use in Crucible and War, Cabal, they've been kind of sitting on defense, whereas Undying is more one game mode type of thing. So that's why I did drop their value a little bit. I really want to see what Zombie Kestrel brings to this team. I think that's going to be really interesting, and seeing if they do any callbacks. Like maybe if the opponent has bleed, then she's going to get a ping into bleed characters. Something like that would be really, really cool, because we do need to get some extra damage output from the Undying team. So I'm hoping that's the route they end up going with this team. The 3 that you need to try to invest in is going to be like Zombie Juggernaut, Zombie Scarlet Witch, and then Hela. If Hela goes, the team really falls apart. She's that anchor for the team. The damage output and scaling that Zombie Juggernaut does, Zombie Scarlet Witch, she does incredibly well. She scales really good with this team. Then there's like Zombie Iron Man, who's more of that kit-based character. You don't really need to make him big, but if you do make him big, you're not going to regret it. And this is another bio team I was thinking about investing into when I was talking about Groot. Like, maybe taking Zombie Juggernaut or Zombie Scarlet Witch up to try to get ready for that October next Undying character. Now we have the Mighty Avengers team. They're just a heat-seeking team in War. We don't really use this team in Cosmic Crucible. There was that time we used the Wanderer's Revenge team. Now this team can take out certain Mephisto comps, but there's certain teams they really can't punch into, like Annihilators. Don't punch them into Annihilators, they're going to lose. So there's just certain comps this team works against, but the teams they can take out are actually fairly good teams. We do have Hercules, who's going to be on the raid team along with Falcon. Then Zombie Scarlet Witch is that huge damage for the team. Vision, you don't really need to make him too big. Invisible Woman, the barrier and retaliates is pretty good, but for the damage output portion, these are the three I really recommend leaning into. Falcon, if you end up getting that ultimate off and he's G20, it does do massive damage. I just don't feel the need to actually G20 him, or Scarlet, or Hercules for that matter. Now the next team we have on here, let's go down, here we go, is going to be the Superior Six. This is the last non-meta team we have on the list, and they're going to go more into the plug and play. This team's making a resurgence in Cosmic Crucible, so that's why I did want to mention this on here. So the three that I would recommend is going to be Green Goblin Classic. He can even work with that Cabal team as a plug and play. We have Kraven on here, and we have the Spider Slayer. Now, some of these characters do get slotted out for characters such as Vulture or Mysterio, because the team is so modular, and in the past I did end up saying, hey, invest in all 6 of these characters, but I think that time's kind of run its course, which is why I was really hesitant to put this on here. I want to see what this next team, where they said like, hey, there's going to be spider villains coming to the game, so do kind of hold off a little bit. But this team does make the very, very bottom of my tier list. Now, I do want to end up going into the plug and play characters down here. Let's go ahead and back out. All right, so we end up going back here. My God, this is, there we go. So these 4 teams right here. We do have Xavier, Mephisto, Odin. These are the 3 mythic characters. There really doesn't need to be any explanation for these 3, because they are that good. Odin's kind of making a resurgence in the arena format. Mephisto, he's still very good, whether that's on the offensive or defensive side. You have to respect him, and sometimes you do need to sack with him. Like right now, I'm using the Accursed with Mephisto and Cosmic Crucible, and that's typically getting me at least 2 defensive victories. People are struggling trying to get the one shot with that. And then Xavier, he's just that good of a character. He's definitely more of an offensive based. However, on the defensive side with like the Fantastic Four, that has gotten me 1 to 2 victories, or actually my opponent hasn't full cleared. So these are the 3 big mythic characters. I'm hoping we get one coming up for the ISO Purple 5. I'm hoping they do something like that, like they did with Odin. Now we have Quasar, Null, and Black Knight. Quasar is a new legendary character. Now we're going into Blastar. Quasar, I'm hearing people say he's not a good legendary character. I think they're completely wrong. He's good in War. He's good in Arena. He's good in Crucible. You just need to use him properly. He's 129 speed. Use that special first. That's going to get the defense down and the slows out there. The ultimate, I don't use as much, because that opening move with the special is so impactful. Unless I'm doing a war matchup, then I'll use the ultimate, because I have that awakened ultimate ability. Outside of that, I use that special first, and I think you're going to see how good this character actually is. I do typically use him as a striker. He is set as a raider on here, just for a certain game mode I end up doing. Null, I'm really excited to get that 7th star on him. Null has been so good, and I'm glad, because when we initially did the playtesting for him during that Cosmic Crucible, he was really lacking, and now we know how to use him properly, and he just wreaks havoc in Crucible. He's amazing in Alliance War. We were using him in Arena for the longest time. He's definitely worthy of being on this list. Now we have Black Knight. Black Knight on here is still making waves. Whether that's on the offense or defensive side of things, I've been using him more on the offense to help counter the Cohoris and Cosmic Crucible. In Alliance War, he's still being kind of a pain in people's sides. So I don't recommend, or I don't regret G20 Black Knight either. Now we have Ares. We just were able to get the diamonds on him. The diamonds on him, and being that war plug and play character, I do really like Ares. I think he's a fantastic character in war. He has limited use in Cosmic Crucible. We're using him on that Cabal team to help counter into the Thunderbolts team. I know that's not saying much because it is the Thunderbolts and Crucible, but he made it to where that counter was so efficient, you kind of had to use that. So I'm hoping we could find more uses for Ares. I just wish he was faster. That's my main gripe with him, is he's so slow, it's hard for him to actually get a turn off. But his passive, being able to shut down the safeguard, you can't really look away at that. APOC, I G20'd him for the Xavier saga. I don't regret it. I do think, though, there are better options, like doing Omega Red Phoenix Force, than trying to go back to do APOC would be the better, more efficient play if you were actually looking to do Xavier unlock, unless you do want to take APOC because he is good still. Getting that Falcon Punch is just nasty. His ultimate, being able to stop the safeguard, he's still very impactful today, so that's really cool. Super Scroll, he's fallen off a little bit. You still need to respect him when he's on the defense, in whether that's Cosmic Crucible or Lions War, because that turn meter, we are starting to get more characters that do stop the turn meter. So I do see a transition coming, probably by the end of the year would be my best guess, to where Super Scroll is going to become mainly an offensive tool, which I don't hate. Making it to where Super Scroll's on the offensive side, you can end up doing that turn meter rewind, do the ability block, do that massive ult, and really delete people. I want to G20 him, but he's just too expensive, and I just have too many bio characters I want to take up still, so he's still going to be on the back burner for me on that one. Now we're on to the last portion right here. Black Cat, Ultimus, and OG Emma. Why didn't I put OG Emma with the Hellfire Club? Because she would be more of a luxury build. She's going to be that power couple with Sebastian Shaw, and she's going to be surviving for probably about 2 to 3 years because of the way her passive works. Unless they keep bringing more characters out that stop the speed change, like APOC and Nightcrawler, the Accursed team, and everything. I do see a world where Emma's going to be sticking around longer than the Hellfire Club, because we were using her even before she got the rework, just because of that passive. So taking her up, she's not going to go G20 for me for quite a while. She'll sit at G19. I think that's good enough, but do invest into her, but you don't need to take her all the way up. She's still one of the best characters in my opinion because of the passive. Ultimus, he's just a tank buster. If there's ever a tank on the other side of the field and you need to get through it, throw him with Cabal, throw him in there, ult turn 1, delete, get that turn meter, and get the team moving. He's still a really good plug and play character. I don't use him as much. However, when I do use him, I don't regret it. He's still sitting at G19, not G20, because he's too expensive as well. Black Cat, to me, her stock was rising and still is rising because of Xavier. Being that 132 speed and being able to get a stun with trauma, or just a stun into Xavier to help counter him, whether that's in Alliance War or Cosmic Crucible, her stock just really went up. I ended up taking her up to that 3 diamond. I end up putting the purple 3 skirmisher on her, which that's not really saying much for the purple 3, but the 3 diamond, it's still dark diamond credits that we end up using on her. I want to G20 her, which is funny, but I haven't done it yet. I want to see what skill other characters I want to take up, and I want to make sure I get my stock up before I actually do G20 her. But she's like on the cusp of me G20ing her because of that Xavier comp. I could slot her in with like that 3-piece that we talked about with Rachel Summers, with Jean, Storm, and everything, and she'd be an awesome 4th member for that, and I could throw somebody else in there and really start punching into Xavier comps. That would get so many stuns out there. The one from Storm, the one from Black Cat, and then I could spread it with Rachel. That's 3 stuns out on the battlefield. You can't go wrong with that, right? But that is my list for the top teams and what characters to invest in. Let me know what teams I got wrong. I know you guys are probably going to flame me for the Cursed. That's my hot take, though. I do like Accursed. I don't regret throwing G20 into any of them because they are that good for me. This site is being weird, but yeah, the Accursed team, once you get them up to that 7 stars and diamonds, I've been going against Diamond Accursed for quite a while, and they just scale so incredibly well. And I do want to kind of give them their flowers and give them their dues. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video and that promo code. If you did, please remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day.